Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. This one is Aster.
I'm Soliloquy. Hey.
Hi, hey, here we are again. We're recording the fucking podcast. How's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I guess it's been like a little bit since we recorded this show. It's been like a couple weeks, but also we like just recorded about Grimgar like 2 days ago, so it feels like it's basically been like no time at all. So she's like, "What the fuck is there even to say at the beginning of this podcast? We just recorded one." But like
Yeah, I
that's
don't
not
know.
how the people who listen to the show, the main people,
Yeah, also
engage
we
with that
don't
and
we
everything.
don't talk about what we're up to at the beginning of the other one too. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
um mostly I've been playing Zella, the new
Yeah,
one. It came
the new
out.
one. Wow.
Wow. I can't fucking Okay, so I am a notorious Breath of the Wild hater. By which I mean I had anything critical to say about it at all when it came out.
Hmm.
And it just wasn't my favorite. It just I don't know. Like unless I was making a thing of it, which I might at some point, I would not go back and play it again even before this new one came out. Which
Hmm.
basically I would go as far as to say it makes Breath of the Wild fuck the word. It just left my head.
Hmm.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. It's the podcast. Oh god. I'm embarrassing myself on the podcast.
That's okay. She can like edit this out even, and it'll be fine.
No, it's okay. Um, it just totally replaces Breath of the Wild, right? You just do not need to play Breath of the Wild, because this one exists. And they made a fucking good one. They made a fucking good one.
She hopes that continues to be like fun and exciting for you throughout.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't know how much left you have in the grand scheme of like a Zelda game, but
hmm
she knows you've done like 2 dungeons on stream or whatever, right? And there's probably like 4 of those.
Yeah. There's probably 4 dungeons, and I have done 2 of them. So,
Wow.
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 What have you been up to?
What has she been up to? Fuck. Not like a ton really. She's just kind of been chilling.
hmm
She was like planning on like starting up Xenoblade 3, and she's played a little bit of it, but she hasn't like really like sunk her teeth in yet. She'll have to like really find time to like really like dig into that like soon. But like also she's about to I mean like she also hasn't like getting too deep into that because you're about to be out here really soon at the time of this recording, like a week from tomorrow at the time of this recording, right? So it's just like, oh, if she got
Yeah.
like too into it, she would just have her momentum disrupted by that. So she's just kind of in this position of like, well, she's gonna keep doing the things she's doing, but she's like kind of hesitant to like really like get into anything big because sometimes that's just the way her brain works. But like
Yeah.
it's all right. It's not like she's just been having a bad time, right? Like she's been keeping busy. She's just not really channeled that towards something she feels like, oh, here's the thing to talk about in the podcast.
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I guess we can just get into it then, right?
Yeah, we can just get into it then.
Okay. Okay. Episode 152, Funeral March for the Living. So there's this funeral sicko burying people alive and throwing a funeral for them in this gold mine or something. Some guys escape and wash up to the hidden leaf. Naruto carries them back to talk to someone important. We see Lee training and stuff too. Tsunade sends Rock Lee's squad along with Naruto to handle it. Tsunade explains that the mine they work in was taken over by a scary group. Naruto isn't really interested and stomps off. On the way out, he runs into Sakura. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so to talk about this episode, she thinks she can like start by kind of giving a sort of broad overview of her feelings about the arc so far, because like her sense of how this has been going is it just kind of feels like an arc where things are just happening very rapidly, like and kind of disjointedly. Does that like line up
Oh,
with your experience of this?
that absolutely lines up with my experience of this. This is very much like a
Yeah, it's very much like we just kind of leap from one thing to the next, and it's never like that well grounded or anything. This episode gets by all right with the like guidance of Shinji Sato, who is like who is like the storyboarder here, right? Like as we move into this like anime original period, like a lot of the show's like strongest like directors and everything are kind of like gonna be like stepping away from this like episode director part of the show for a little while, right? Like Masahiko Murato's last episode is at the end of this arc. we've already seen like Hirofumi Suzuki and Toshiki Tsuru's last episode. Right, like it's well, like there's definitely a sense of like, okay, like the show is entering a little bit of a like stasis on that front, where like a lot of people who are doing the most characterful work are kind of like, you know, moving away, and she's like curious to see if it'll be like other people who are like stepping in and doing like interesting things, or if it's just going to be like a much like more like show with a kind of like even quality in a way that's like kind of negative. But like Shinji Chisato at least is going to stick around for a while, and she thinks like a bunch of things in like this specific like episode's board that like at least like carry the sort of like, oh, things are just happening nature of it, with like some amount of confidence, with like some amount of like visual flair, and like, you know, there's like this kind of starts with like, yeah, okay, we have this like kind of like open on like, oh shit, we have a sicko over here, he's doing his like weird funeral guy shit, right? Like, you know, and it's like this isn't a villain that she thinks really like carries through to having that interesting of a presence once he actually like has to be the guy who's on screen or whatever. Yeah. But like at the very least, there's a sort of like, you know, like a confidence, like, okay, we're just seeing this guy and he's being like a fucking weirdo over here, right? And then we like cut to the actual like characters we know, right? Like there's like a little bit of a there's a dramatic flair that like carries this a little bit here, right?
Yeah.
And also because like our later episodes this week, where the show is a little shakier ground visually, you know. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Or maybe we forget. That'd be funny.
Yeah, that's also a thing that happens a lot. Is we'll be like, oh, we'll talk about this later, and then we'll forget. She encounters this a lot of the time when she's editing these episodes. You know, a bunch of guys like sneak off to like go and like, you know, get some help. They wind up in the Hidden Leaf Village. Naruto like fishes them out of the river after they like fall in. Like, fortunately, none of them drowned along the way. There's like a pretty fun beat where like, you know, Naruto has like found these guys and is just like carrying them all like on his back towards the Leaf Village. He's like, this is training too, and like Lee like watches this happen. He's like, oh shit, I need to train harder, and like just keeps doing his like, you know, like training weights stunts in the woods without like really offering to help Naruto carrying these like three men who are like, you know, clearly in a pretty bad way. It's like a little bit of like, you know, these characters being like brought into like a sort of like extreme jokey version of themselves, but she thinks it's like kind of fun and cute, regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think what like a really good like visual metaphor for that right now is Lee's weights, right? Just yeah, he has big, chunky, funny ones this time that I don't think I've seen anywhere else.
Right? Yeah. There's like a few things where like Lee just has like a thing in this arc that he doesn't really else for. Like he has like a book he opens up full of like jutsu descriptions. Like like a later episode, she's bringing this up now. She doesn't like oh, there's another thing we'll talk about later, and then forget about it, right? Which is like a thing she doesn't think is like usually like a Rock Lee thing. Right, so we like cut from like you know, Rock Lee Naruto, like, you know, Tsunade is like in her fucking Hokage office. She's doing the very standard like people are coming in to like, you know, report admissions and stuff, like kind of lending to the sort of like frantic feeling of this is like, you know, we've got like, before we actually like attach like to any of the things that are going on in this arc, there's like a little like one-off scene of like Anko coming in to report an admission and like eating some food off of a plate in front of Tsunade, and Tsunade gets pissed off about it, and then like we just like cut to another scene after that that's like still in the same room. Like that scene with Anko, which kind of like, you know, cuts and then like goes like, oh, Guy isn't here now, right? Which is like she doesn't like fundamentally have a problem with like, oh, we're having all these like jokey scenes with like other Naruto side characters or whatever, right? It can be like fun to check in whatever, right? But also it's definitely like it adds to the frantic feeling of the arc where like you know, there's so much stuff like that just kind of like comes up and is like rapidly established about characters in ways that doesn't feel all that organic. So it's like,
and, you know, and doesn't matter, right? Like it is like a lot of like ancillary detail that just like comes up and is dropped right away. That is, I don't know. Yeah, it's frantic, and like nothing is like to be retained from that, right? Mm-hmm. Obsolete was the word I was looking for earlier, by the way.
Yeah, she thought she okay. That makes sense. Yeah, you know, then Guy comes in to like report on a mission, you know, it'd be like, and like presumably get sent off on another one really, really quickly. But Tsunade is like, hey, you know, while you're here, I'm gonna send your team off on like a mission, and I'm gonna like send Naruto with them. And he gets like really pissed off at the fact that like Naruto has to handle it. It's not just his squad who are loved by all the world. And which is like a very funny reaction for him to have, even if she's like not exactly sure why like he has this beef with Naruto specifically.
I think it's just because he's one of Kakashi's kids.
Yeah, probably.
like if I had to dig for like any possible reason he could have, that would be it, right? It's like if Naruto goes, then he's not allowed to like use his mission success as like a win against Kakashi.
Right, because fucking Naruto's gonna do a big strong Rasengan. Like, I mean, he already does do a big Rasengan like in these episodes, but like the arc's only half over, so he's gonna have to do another one later. Um, Sorry, getting ahead of herself a little bit. Um, she establishes that, and it's time to like it's time to like tell the guys team and also Naruto about the mission they need to go on. And Naruto fucking like Naruto is like immediately pissed off and he has to like help these guys that he like dragged in from the river. He's like so disinterested with like being here. He doesn't want to be on this mission very suddenly, right? Like he wants to be like fucking training or looking for Sasuke, but the show has like contorted itself to deny him these opportunities, right? Well, really more of the training thing, right? Like the show is constantly giving him opportunities to like search for Sasuke that go nowhere. It is like an interesting like place for like Naruto to be in, like interesting not in a good way, right? It's not like, oh, it's interesting as like a character direction for him. It's just interesting that like you put the protagonist of your show where like he finds these people who are in trouble. He's like, I don't want to fucking help them. That's for fucking losers. This is a job for assholes who suck.
Right, where's our heroic special boy?
I mean, like he'll be like back around later, right? Like again, like he'll just kind of get over this. But like right now, he's like, "Fuck this! I don't want to go with it." Like frankly, like after the last arc, she's kind of like, maybe we should let him cook. Maybe we should see what happens if we just let a team guy go off and do a mission, and like Naruto doesn't have to be there, you know?
Yeah.
Once you have Naruto like not wanting to be like doing the plot of the show, it really draws a lot of attention to like why is it like this, right? Like why don't we just have like, oh, we can have like the characters like somewhat separated, so occasionally we have like, oh, here's like a Naruto and Jiraiya like wandering around arc, and here's like some guys like back in the Leaf going on missions arc, and here's like a Sasuke doing some like sicko shit arc or whatever, right? Like she just kind of wishes they had like committed to the like stakes they set up for this, and like just let the characters like exist in isolation a little bit, right?
Right. I want to see Sasuke off being a special boy for Orochimaru so bad, so bad. Esther, I want to see. I want to see so bad Sasuke off just chilling with Orochimaru while Orochimaru is being a sicko, and like he's just like, oh my god.
Could you imagine like if Sasuke got like missions with like some random like Orochimaru guys who are like, yeah, you have to go help my special boy. They're all like extremely disposable. They all die every Sasuke arc.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It would be so funny. Well, this is what we have. There's only so much that bemoaning the possibility something else can get us.
Yeah, we can add that to the big anime original stretch when we rewrite Naruto.
Yeah, we decide to like spend like 85 episodes in a Naruto remake doing this bullshit again, but better.
Like this bullshit, but better is like would be the good part though, right?
Yeah, right. Like, God, you get to have like Sakura going out on like missions with like a bunch of the other teams, and like that, like, giving her room to like actually like exist, right? Because when we write Naruto, we're gonna make sure Sakura has shit to do,
right?
She just kind of like when Naruto is having this big like make fuss scene, like there's a bit where he like gets up in Tsunade's face and she just like fucking grabs him and is like, "Hey Neji, you're the team leader," and she just fucking tosses Naruto back at him, like, "You deal with this shit," and
yeah.
Like again, there's like there is like a consistent sense through a lot of this episode of like trying to like have the characters like pose and like move through the scenes in like ways that are like visually fun, that like helps conceal at least a little bit like how kind of like slipshod the construction of a lot of this winds up being, right? Like there's just like a like especially there's like this kind of like fun consistency to it, like, right, where like when like at the end of this half of the episode you have like Naruto going out to talk to Sakura, and then like Lee like shows up because he's like he's like learned some like secrets that might entice Naruto to go on the mission from Guy or whatever, right? And like he like drags Naruto like by the arm out of conversation he's having with Sakura, and then the fucking like two guys are like bringing Tsunade's chair back up from the from outside after she like threw it outside because she got pissed off at Naruto, right? Like there's like a little like there's a sense of like, well, at least somebody's like trying to like have some fun in here.
Yeah, and definitely that is appreciated. Definitely that is appreciated. I don't know why I said that like I was going to say something else afterwards, but like I appreciate that. I appreciate that they're like going for it. I appreciate that they're like trying to make it a little bit more interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's like about what she has to say about this half of the episode.
Mm-hmm. You want to move forward?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Lee tells Naruto over some ramen that the leader guy they're after is one of the 7 missed sword guys, and leverages Kasame and Itachi's relationship as a way to find Sasuke. On the road, there's an impatient mind man who wants to save their buried alive friends. They stop at a curry shop Lee has some history with. It's close to the mine, so they use it as a home base. Lee explains how he knows the curry shop, and in a flashback we meet Karashi, the curry lady's grandkid. He helps her wake a knocked out Lee with some extra intense curry Lee calls the curry of life. In the present, they have the curry again, and everyone but Lee hates it. They also learn that Karashi left to join the mean guys. In the middle of the night, the impatient mind man goes to save his buds.
It's like, yeah, we start off this half of the episode with, like, you know, Lee and Naruto are having a talk over ramen, and this is definitely, like, this feels almost like they have to know, like, how ridiculous it is that they keep trying to, like, make some, like, tie into, like, oh, maybe we'll get a clue towards Sasuke here, right? Because it's just this, like, ridiculously, like, Lee, like, walking through, like, point by point, like, okay, so the guy we're looking after here, he might be one of the hidden, like, swords, like one of the 7 swordsmen of the Hidden Mist, right? And, like, you remember this guy, right? And this guy knows that guy, and that guy knows Itachi, which means, like, you know, but by, like, this, like, series of extremely tenuous connections, like, maybe we'll find a clue towards Sasuke here, right? Like, it's so extremely tenuous, and, like, it feels like it's just drawing attention to how tenuous it is, right?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, like, there's no way this chuckle fuck is gonna,
right,
like, have this dude's phone number and be able to, like, call him up, like, hey, you know Itachi? Right. You know where his little bro's at?
Like, the state of, like, the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist or whatever is, like, very, like, it's unclear, but we know that, like, at least 2 of them have, like, just outright, like, defected and become, like, you know, like, very clear, like, enemies of the Hidden Mist, right? Like, she's not sure if there's, like, you know, if the other 4 are, like, still over there or what. But, like, it definitely doesn't seem like a situation like, oh yeah, here's these, like, 7, like, co-workers who all know each other, right? I mean, like, Kasame and Zabuza seem to be, like, pretty cool with each other from, like, the little bit we saw of, like, you know, Kasame talking about him. But
like, even then I didn't get the impression that they talked, right? Like,
right,
it was like,
yeah. It was like, oh damn, Zabuza died? That guy was pretty cool. Oh well.
Right. Like, if anything, it's the kind of thing where, like, I could totally get it if they, like, just know each other through, like, reputation, right? Like,
like, Naruto is, like, just not buying it because, like, why the fuck would he be? But also, like, by later in this arc, he's just going to be like, oh shit, I need to, like, ask this guy about, like, if he knows about where Sasuke is or whatever. So, like, it's gonna be playing it straight. So, like, who knows, right?
Right. I mean, you know, like, while you're there, you might as well ask, but that doesn't mean it's like you're gonna be super hopeful, right?
Well, yeah, like, regardless of all of, like, Naruto's hesitation in this scene, you know, we cut to the next day. You know, Guy's team is, like, heading out for the mission with the, like, the minor guys, and then, like, Naruto, like, shows up and he's, like, super excited to be here. He's super excited to, like, go on this mission with everybody, right? It's not, like, made exactly clear to us, like, what changed, really. Like, she guesses Naruto is just kind of, like, a mercurial and whimsical guy who just decides to do things when, like, for reasons that don't have to be incredibly apparent to the audience sometimes. But, like, Lee is happy to see his, like, bestie Naruto here, you know. It is kind of fun as they're, like, walking along, like, Lee and Naruto, like, keep, like, fucking around and, like, doing little, like, training stunts, like, whenever they, like, stop to rest, and, like, you know, Neji and Tenten are, like, oh, fucking, you know, they're a little bit, like, look at these fucking guys about it, but, like, you know, they're friends, you know, it's nice to be, like, silly friends or whatever.
Yeah, we love us silly friends.
But, like, it does also create this distance where, like, every time, like, we see, like, Naruto leaving, like, silly friends, it's like, oh, here's the, like, minor guys who are, like, really sad about, like, their friends who, like, got buried alive or whatever, right? Like, there's definitely a sense of, like, oh, like, Naruto is, like, so disconnected from, like, the fact that these people he, like, fished out of a river or whatever, like, might have been in a bad situation. He's just not, like, interested in it yet, right? Like, he's going to need to, like, see them being, like, he's going to need to, like, see the miners being imperiled in, like, the next episode before he decides that there's, like, a problem here that he has any investment in. It's a little weird.
It's a little bit strange. Yeah.
Right, like from there, they continue to like be on the way to the mission, but then Lee's like, "Hey, there's this like curry shop I know. We should stop over there, right?" And this is definitely where like she talked about how like this episode is doing some work to kind of like disguise how loosely constructed this episode is just by like having like an energy to it. But like this is definitely where it's like okay, like this just feels a little bit like this is where like it feels like there's no hiding the extent to which like you know what she's saying though, right? Like this, like once we like for her, like once we got to like the curry shop and like Lee having this flashback of like, oh yeah, was like running around past this curry shop like nonstop for like 3 days, and like the curry lady's grandkid was like, she was like, you should keep like running around like that and doing like cartoon feats of strength, and maybe people would stop bullying you or whatever, right? And like Lee is just like continuing to run into sleep, and he like fucking collapses into unconsciousness, and the curry kid has to put like a live turtle into a curry pot and among a bunch of other shit to
oh, scary.
It's scary. Or like once we get to, like here's this sudden like other element, it definitely like it feels like there's like no disguise like just how like frantic and disconnected this feels, right? Like like, oh, by the way, here's this like curry shop that's like really like personally important to like Lee or whatever, right? They're all like having their curry together. Everybody hates it or whatever. The grandma talks about like, yeah, Karachi left to go become a villain. I think I told him that he should be strong too much, and it made him evil.
Love that for her.
Like,
the show's good, actually.
Is it good?
No, I mean, okay. It's all right. I mean,
it's all right sometimes. Yeah, it's been better than this.
It has been better than this.
It's been worse than this.
It's been a lot worse than this. I will say that this arc is reaching like trans femme critical mass.
Yeah? What makes you say this?
We'll get into it.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you have to say about this episode, or?
No, let's press on.
Okay.
Episode 153, A Lesson Learned, The Iron Fist of Love. Mine Man's digging up his bud when he gets grabbed by the bad guys. Leaf kids sneak into the mine, and the funeral sicko sword guy gives his big funeral talk and arranges for this guy's funeral. The kids watch some guys do labor and see an old guy collapse. The guards start funeral threatening, so Lee runs up and knocks them all unconscious. The old man wants to get hit too, so the bad guys don't think this is his fault. The funeral bell goes off, so the kids rush to save the mine guy. The leader guy has a chat with the little boy under his big weird robe.
She described the previous episode a lot as like frantic, and she would like this one has like a little bit like going on, like perhaps more than this. In fact, she would call this one like really really blunt. Like it's very, it feels very like graceless. Whatever it's like. Stopping to like explain everything that's going on, like in case you weren't watching Naruto like last week or like in the weeks previous, right? Like it's very much like a like the episode like starts with like several different scenes of like every character in the arc like saying like to themselves or the people around them like everything that's happening here, right? Like it's very it's kind of artless, it's kind of there is there is some extent to which like this is like this is what you have to do when you're like making television or whatever for like a young audience. But like she just like she's seen it done better, right? Like she's seen it done better like by this show, and like here it's just very like it feels like there's a lot of like characters just like stating facts to the audience that like you feel like you would like want to like expect the audience could like maintain at least a little bit more of that in their minds when you're like making a show that is like serialized in this nature, right?
Yeah.
Like once we've like reestablished everything, we can kind of start moving things forward a little bit, right? Like Morokusuke, who's like the worried miner guy, right? Like he gets like caught and he's like dragged over in front of Raiga to like prepare for his funeral or whatever, right? Raiga's the psycho guy. She doesn't remember how many of the names you actually wound up using in your summaries.
Who cares?
Okay. And like this scene is like really trying to like pull like double duty for like Karashi is like he's become like kind of like a shithead, but also he like feels kind of bad about it, right? Right, because like at the beginning of the scene he's like he's just going into like fucking kick Rokusuke while he's down, right? He's like, hey, stop that, we're just gonna bury him alive. And then he like backs up, was like, oh geez, I don't know if I want to bury a guy alive. Like he doesn't say it, but like we get like a bunch of like cuts into his face where he looks like kind of worried as like Raiga like repeats his his commitment to like killing guys in the sicko way constantly all the time.
Mm-hmm. God, there's like a funny bit of like animation, like there's a funny bit of like staging in the first episode, like in the very beginning, that I forgot to comment on, where like after we did like the first like introduction funeral, like he like walks away from that going like that was a great funeral and just like kicks over another like grave marker, right? Like
yeah, that's a good bit. That's a good bit for sure. Meanwhile, like Naruto and the rest of like Naruto and the guys team are like they're watching on as like the people are working, right. They see we got like a momentary digression into like explaining how gold mining works for Naruto.
Yeah, Naruto dumbass is like, those are rocks, that's not gold. And he has to go like, well, that's gold ore, and they have to process it into gold.
Right, like just like a mildly educational children's cartoon for like just half a second. Like, but before we get too deep into that, there's the old man falling over, and like the Kurosaki gang guys like just start to like they're doing like evil goon shit to him, right? And like Neji's like, we should hang back. We don't know what these guys are capable of. Or at least like, no, fuck that. Like it's like runs in like beats up four guys effortlessly. So seems to have made the right call, right? Like everybody who's working under Raiga seems to be like a total fucking chump.
I mean, that makes sense because Raiga himself is like kind of, not to get ahead of ourselves here, but
kind of a chump.
Yeah,
I mean, like we've got like 3 more episodes left. Maybe he'll like way more impressive in this factory.
Maybe.
She's not getting your hopes up, but she can always be surprised. Yeah, like they rescue the old man. The old man's like, fuck, you have to like attack me so they don't think I'm with you. Like I also like go like bury me and kill me. But he's like interrupted from his worrying, like to be like, oh shit, actually I'm about to kill somebody else right now. So like they're clearly done like thinking about this old man forever now. They have to like run off to save one of the actually like named characters in this arc. Raiga's giving his big like sicko funeral speech. He's like, yeah, Rakusuke like really fucking loved it when I came in here and I killed his old boss and made him stop having to pay taxes. He was like so happy back then. That was like such a great thing about him. And then the child on his back or whatever, right, is like, wow, that's so sweet, right? Raiga, I hope you say some nice things at my funeral. And he's like, fuck that, you're never dying. I'm gonna keep you alive forever. We're like really getting into the part of this arc where it's like it seems like it's trying to like fucking speedrun some Zabuza and Haku shit. Where we've got like a sicko guy, but also
also a nice femme kid, right? Like
right, yeah, like. And they're gonna like hammer at this point like more directly later. She's like curious if they're gonna like try and like spin it in a different way in the back half, right? But like. For now, it's very clearly like setting up like, what if we did this without like doing any of the groundwork, and we'll see how it pays off for them.
Yeah. I mean, they're really expanding on the formula though by having the sicko also be femme. Right. I mean, that's that's what I'm saying, right? Like we got fucking Karashi, we got Raiga, and we got the kid.
Honestly, like all of our thoughts about what Raiga looks like in this like are like completely supplanted by like how in the next episode he looks like a completely different guy in every single shot he's in.
Yeah.
I'm getting ahead of herself again still, but like
it's just long hair, eye makeup, and lipstick, right? Like,
yeah, you don't need to keep any of the rest consistent. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, the fact that she's like roaming off to like broader stuff makes her feel like she probably doesn't have anything else to say about this half of the episode. So you want to move on?
Yep. The kids run up to stop the funeral. The last goon standing ends up being Karashi, so Lee spares him. Karashi is obviously in her overcompensating Masc phase, but ultimately can't maintain this shit and agrees to walk some of this whole bad guy goon thing back. They let the mine guy out of his coffin, and then she gets some weird vibes from the cliff. The kids rush in and get surrounded by mist. Neji is having trouble seeing through the mist, and he knows that this shit isn't normal. The little boy in Raiga's robe has some kind of power, and Raiga has lightning swords, so the kids get lightninged.
So yeah, the kids rushing to stop the funeral, right? Again, like it's very much like we have no fucking time, like more than like the minimum to like spend on them like beating up all the goons here, right? Like everybody, like every single guy they attack goes down in like one hit, basically, right? Like, you know, 10-10 hits like two guys in the face with their staff, they're down. Neji does a couple like gentle fist hits, those guys are down. You know, Naruto does like a Uzumaki barrage on one guy, and he goes like spinning off in such a way that leads him to kick like two other guys in the face and instantly knock them out. Right? It's like we just need to fucking get these guys off the table here.
It is nice to see the show committing to 1010 being a staff bitch.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they don't do anything with her, but like,
right. Yeah, she mostly just kind of like sits on the sidelines and occasionally says a thing. Like the list of characters they remember in this arc from like most to least is like, you know, Naruto or like Rock Lee's like pretty close behind, like Neji's like sort of there, and then like they'll remember 10-10's here like once every 5 minutes or so. Maybe that's a little generous, honestly. It might be less than that.
What do you mean? They keep drawing her in the background.
They beat up everybody but Karashi, who's like, oh shit, I don't want to get like punched out instantly. You know, he's like backing off a little bit. Lee decides to like have a talk with him about like you know where he's at, and like Karashi like espouses like his current worldview, which is like the stupidest possible ideology for anybody to have. Where he basically is like, yeah, nobody even goes to like the curry shop I work at or compliments it. So what I've decided instead is that because I exist in this world, I have to become as strong as possible and try to rule it. Which is like, it's like a nonsense thing to like present as like here's what this character like believes and what they've been like driven to, right? Like there's like so little grounding for like why he's here. Like we get a mention that like, he's like being bullied but never see it, and then like he just makes a very small like very low commitment to being a sicko that he'll be like shaken out of instantly.
Look, I mean, like I said it in my fucking summary, and I fucking hit the nail on the head there. And she's just in her overcompensating Masc phase, right? Like she's going through a lot right now.
But like removed from that read that like clearly nobody working on the show had, it's like kind of ridiculous. Not to like spit in the face of the beautiful things you're saying here.
No, I understand.
But like anyway, like you know, Karashi saying this nonsense like pisses Lee off enough to like punch him in the face, which just seems like excessive, frankly. Like, you know, I feel like the narrative device of like, oh, somebody says some things, and then like another character is like so mad that they like punch him in the face, and there's like a kind of fun like staging thing here where like it seems like Naruto's like about to punch and the camera like cuts away, so like we see that actually Lee was the one who like stepped in and got mad, like punched him or whatever, right? But like regardless, like the like narrative device, like, oh, a character gets like so mad that they like at something somebody is saying that they have to like step up to physical violence. It's like she feels like it's something that's like best deployed when there's like some kind of like personal like slight at the things that are being said at play, right? Like,
yeah.
like
what do you mean? You mean it's not cool to get mad and like punch someone for like just saying some like nonsense?
There's nothing that Lee has like a person like feelings about like makes her feel like he would actually get mad enough to like resort to violence, and somebody going like, yeah, I have an obligation to rule the world because I exist, right? Like that's just like that's nothing. Right? She just feels like laughing and going that stupid would have sufficed, right? Like,
well, I mean, I think I think it came from the like earlier things he was saying, where he was just like, I don't want to make some fucking stupid ass curry. You know, like I think Lee was more reacting to like how he was talking about his like grandma and like making curry and stuff.
Because the curry is very, 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 very important to Rock Lee, right?
The curry is very important to Rock Lee. He based his whole
like,
fucking
yeah, right. Like he talks about like in this like scene like where he's like trying to talk sense to Karashi. He's like, yeah, you know, when I ate your curry and it like saved my life, it convinced me that even somebody like me could achieve anything. And it's like, no, that's not what you're caring. Like, you can't fucking pretend that like the entire cornerstone of like Lee's motivation is the fact that he like ate this bad curry one time. That's not real. Like, fucking go smaller than that, right? Like,
please, for the love of God, go smaller than that.
It's just a little much. It's just a little much.
It's just a little too much.
But But yeah, they like get kind of distracted from like this talk because they realize they like almost let the guy who was in the coffin like die from suffocating. Like, oh shit, we should get him out of there.
Mhm.
And Karashi's like, okay, I'm gonna stop being evil now. And like I don't know if he's gonna like stick around the arc more or like what. It feels weird. There's 3 episodes of this left.
Yeah.
Like I either like there's going to be like a bunch more shit that happens, or we're just gonna like start like retreading things like very rapid fire, right, in a way that like amounts to nothing. You know, she's curious, right? Like it's not like a hopeful curiosity that much.
Yeah, probably Karashi is gonna go like back and forth one more time, and then.
Right, right. Like there's just like no like dramatic weight to like if Karashi like decides to like fight, like decides to like rejoin Raiga or like to like, you know, stand against him, right? Because like he's not a guy who could like fight or anything, right? He's just kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, is it sexist of me to say she belongs in the kitchen?
Christ. Like, it's kind of the thing, right? It's like, you know, if like the stakes are like, okay, if she decides to like keep like sticking by like Raiga's side or whatever, this like ideological conflict, right? Like ultimately, like if Raiga gets defeated, she'll be just like, well, shit, I guess I'm just gonna go back and make curry again. And if she decides to like stand, like, you know, stand against Raiga or whatever, she's also gonna be like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go make curry again. You've got Oshihuri and Karashi now.
Nice.
That's that scene.
Mm-hmm.
They go off to go do the fight, right? You know, they're like running off to like some other location where Raiga is. You know, they're still like debating whether or not he's he's like one of the ninja swordsmen of the mist or whatever, right? And like as they're like approaching him, like it gets all foggy, and like Lee takes out his like little special book, and he's like, this is the hidden mist jutsu that they use in the hidden mist village.
Right, like,
so he must be from there.
What? Like, why couldn't Naruto just been like, oh, Zabuza did this?
Right. I like this is like kind of circling back to like the thesis of like how blunt this episode is. Like immediately after that, like Raki's like, "Hey Neji, use your special Byakugan eyes that can see in 360 degrees to see if you can find him."
Right?
And then like he's like, for some reason I can't see him. And she's like, "Wow, even your special Byakugan eyes that can see in 360 degrees?
Wow.
How could this be?"
How could this be? Okay. We need to press on. Like, yeah. So like, I don't know. Like, blah blah blah. The kids get exploded, right? Like,
yeah. I like the one of the things she wants to say is there's this moment of like. There's this bit where like Ranmaru, who's the kid on Raiga's back, is like talking about like, oh, one of them has like a special eye power, but like it's okay, it doesn't work, and they like. You know, Raiga is like confused of like what kind of special eye power this guy could have. And it's just weird because she feels like the existence of the Byakugan is like something that people seem so like globally aware of, right? Like people are like trying to steal that shit constantly, right? Like, you know, this isn't something that's been established yet, but like later we'll learn that there's like a guy in the Hidden Mist who like stole a Byakugan, right?
Yeah.
But also she guesses like Raiga doesn't seem like he's that good at his job. Would we like get any like flashbacks of him from when he had like his job in the Hidden Mist? So like.
Yeah, fucking Mr. Yeah, I was supposed to come here and kill somebody in this village, but I forgot who, so I'm killing everybody.
God, the line just was really like, yeah, I got confused, so I'm just killing people randomly.
Oh
just
my
like,
god.
Should we get on to the next episode? You know, Raiga explodes the kids with the special lightning swords. We're done here.
Yeah. Episode 154, The Enemy of the Byakugan. The kids survived, but Neji keeps seeing fake chakra networks with his Byakugan. By the time the kids figure out it's fake, they're getting lightninged again. Everyone's knocked out, but Lee fights while unconscious anyway, and he's too fast for the little voice to call out directions. In the fight, Raiga and the kid get separated, and Naruto confronts him about Kasame, but Raiga doesn't want to talk about it and hits Naruto with some lightning.
Okay, so before we get into the episode, we have like a new opening, or like we sort of do. It's clearly not done yet.
Yeah.
Right, like there are like 25 seconds of this opening that are like, here's like a loop of Naruto running over a bunch of like footage from the show that like she knows gets replaced later.
Interesting.
So like, you know, there's some work left to be done on this one. She's not sure exactly what's going to like switch over to the full sequence. But yeah, this is another like Toshiki Suru and Hirofumi Suzuki opening. You know, they're still handling like most of those sequences for this show, like that combo of people. And like, you know, she doesn't have like a ton to say about it, right? Like, you know, it's kind of like.
I wonder why they did half an opening.
Are you getting at something here, or?
No, I'm just curious the circumstances that would lead them to like, you know, changing the opening when it's like, you know, obviously like.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe there's like some kind of like, because she knows like record companies are on like production committees for anime a lot of the time, right? Like there might be like some amount of like, okay, well it's time to like switch over to a new song because like, you know, we have these obligations or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you know, so even if the sequence isn't quite done yet, we'll have this kind of like placeholder bit of it here, right? That's just kind of speculation. But like she imagines like must be at least a little bit of what goes into it.
Makes sense.
You know, like it's just like, you know, there's a lot of like very like the characters are like rendered in this opening a lot of times like very distinct ways that like she feels like are like it's some real like stylistic tells like the combination of like Suru and Suzuki specifically. But it's a lot of like, yeah, hey, we've got like a bunch of like, you know, here's all these little shots like the various like characters are still in the hidden leaf like getting ready and going about their day, right? Like, yeah, we've got a sense of like here's the current like ensemble cast of Naruto. You know, there's not really any Sasuke in this one at all, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna be here for like over a year still, so we're gonna have to commit to like putting forth some kind of visual identity. Like the show is like this is a show that just doesn't have Sasuke in it, right? For as much as we might make some gestures towards that, she's very curious if we're ever gonna like get Narc where they just don't bother with some kind of Sasuke connection. But
yeah, I don't know.
At the very least, like, you know, he is only present in the opening by his absence, right? Unless he's forgetting something. So Sakura's in this opening for a bunch, despite how much like her presence in like almost every single arc so far is her like deciding to not be involved. So who knows if that'll change?
Who knows?
Yeah. Sorry, that's what I had to say about the opening. The opening, there wasn't like a ton that you want to say about that one specifically right now. So we can get at the episode proper.
Yeah. Neji's eyes fucking suck.
Neji's eyes fucking suck. They're doing so bad here.
Like, I don't even know what this kid's power is supposed to be, right? Like,
it emits like a particle into the air that makes Neji's eyes go bad, and then also can see really good. It's like. It's like the anti-Byakugan it kind of seems like.
Right, like okay, so like this kid the whole time has been able to like perceive things outside of like what would like normally be visible to her, right? Like,
yeah, it's also like completely like concealed at all times, right? Like nothing would normally be visible to her because she's in like a sack on Raiga's back.
Yeah, we're also she-herring this kid, and like. Is she seeing through the particles she emits? Like, is that what's going on?
She doesn't know. Like, maybe we'll get like more explanation of that later, right? Like, maybe we'll like dial into like how it works so like Neji can like surpass it or whatever, right? But like in this specific episode, it's like this is like so extremely like not like a Neji story so far that the fact that like the thing that he does gets like immediately like. Just shoved out of the way.
Right.
Feels
I mean, like I don't even know if we will get it explained more for like as like a thing that Neji has to get past because like by the end of this episode they have the kid, right? Like
yeah, but like I don't know. She feels like that could change, right? There's 3 episodes left of this arc for some reason. Like
right.
Like we're gonna like we almost have to like cycle through these beats unless they like come up with like 3 episodes worth of like shit that has no setup, right? Like. But like it's like when there's like no real like interest or like trying to like tie Neji into the drama of this, it just feels very silly to be like, oh, and by the way, Neji's like been like canceled out here, right? Like there's no sense to like, oh, does Neji have like a specific like personal thing that is like kind of tying into this fight that he's in? It's just like. It's just like we need to like nerf Neji for this fight, but like it's not even a fight that he would be especially good in, right? Like there's not like a lot of guys trying to like sneak up on him. There's not like any like sense of like hidden information he's like trying to like that he would like need to like perceive that he isn't able to. He's just kind of like they just kind of like made it like put him in a situation where he's bad,
right? And like I can see like Neji and like people with a Byakugan essentially being like susceptible to like this kind of attack, right? Like I mean like big zaps, right? Because like what are you gonna do with a big zap? What are you gonna
Right.
what are
You
you
can't
gonna
like
fucking
block that out of the air. You can't like fucking like if it's like a physical projectile, he seems to be pretty good at that. But like,
right? Like Neji and Ten should just be too injured to continue right now, right? Like.
right, like there's this extra level of like, oh shit, Neji like can't do any of the things he normally does. That gets applied on top of the fact that he like just keeps getting electrocuted anytime he like engages with the fight directly.
Right. Like Lee should be fighting unconscious, and Naruto should be standing because he has the fucking fox chakra, right? Like, like there's just no reason. There's just no reason.
Like, so it's certainly not within this episode in any case.
Right.
Like she doesn't want to make any declarations too grand when she like doesn't have like a super clear memory of like remaining 3 episodes here. Like she remembers a few cuts from the last one because like Masc Mikumura's on that one and like animates some stuff, but like that's about like all she remembers of this one really. So
yeah, but like Neji's eyes don't work.
They'll get electrocuted more. Raiga's the guy who's like really quick to assume the guys he's like lightning blasted are dead. Because he like starts off the previous episode, like he starts off this episode doing it, and then like he zaps them again. He's like, "Oh, they must be dead," and then like has to like check again once he's over there, right? To be like, "Oh, well, I guess not." He seems like he's a guy who's become like very complacent after like a long time of like fighting guys who aren't shit, like around this gold mine or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He goes to like attack Rock Lee and like slice him to pieces, but Rock Lee is able to like fight him while unconscious because of his various abilities. And like when Rock Lee is like doing his like unconscious fighting, there's this bit of like okay, like maybe this will be fine, right? Like she didn't really like know how good the action was going to be. The animation director on this one, Zenjiro Ukulele, is like this is his first credit on the show. I'm like the camera credits like fairly like standard looking beyond that. But it looks kind of like all right for like the first little bit of like Rock Lee doing his unconscious fighting, but this show just kind of starts like melting a little bit as it goes on,
Yeah.
Like the Lee fight culminates in him like doing this kick that like barely looks like it connects, and then like sends the like child bag like flying off in like a different direction the kick happened in, like tearing through Raiga's clothes. It just like feels like very awkward, right? And like Raiga's like, oh shit, they kicked my child that I kept in the bag away. This is fucked for me. Naruto steps in to like try and like get some answers. Like he's like, hey Raiga, you're one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, and we like cut to like this like shot of like the silhouettes of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist containing like visibly like Zabuza and Kisame, and like notably Raiga is not one of the silhouettes here. He's like, you know about Zabuza? Look at this dramatic like shot, like cut to a picture of Zabuza, and like does the same for Kisame, which is just like very like ridiculous over the top. He's like, I fucking hate those guys. I don't want to talk about them. Which is like very fucking funny, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, right, and like about how I expected this interaction to go, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, Naruto is already invested in the well-being of the mine.
Yeah. So he's gonna keep fighting, and also he was like, "Well, I'm gonna beat these answers out of you." He's not gonna get any answers. This is also like where like a lot of the like as Naruto's like fighting him, trying to talk to him, like this is where like a lot of the troubles of the show really starts. There's like a lot of shots where like as Raiga moves, like the shape of his like body and face change dramatically through the cut. There's basically like 2 consecutive shots of Raiga where he looks like a completely different guy in each of them.
Yeah,
like just a lot of stuff like that. It's a rough looking one. Like that's part of the fight covered, right? Right, this part of the episode covered. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's move on. Naruto's fine, and Neji confirms that the kid was the one who could see through Naruto's shadow clone thing. So Naruto kicks Raiga's ass and sends him flying with a Rasengan. Ranmaru explains her and Raiga's relationship. Ranmaru's devotion reminds Naruto of Haku, which makes him committed to making sure this kid is alright. The gang ties up Ranmaru so he doesn't hurt himself.
Right, so we start off here like Neji is like looking into the like the child bag, right? Like he's like being like, okay, what's going on over here, right? Like he determines that, like, there's some kind of particles going out in the air. It's like fucking with his like perception. Also, the kid can see really good, so he's like, okay, I figured out what's going on here. And then he just kind of like stands there. It doesn't do anything.
Yep.
It's really weird.
Really fucking weird.
Right, like I mean, she's not gonna be like, okay, Neji should have fucking killed this kid right now or whatever, because like whatever, right? Like, that's not the area the show is playing in. But like, it's so weird that he doesn't try to like take Ranmaru somewhere else, or like, like do anything to be like, oh, this is the clear, like once he learns that this is the clear advantage that like Raiga had in this fight, like it does nothing to, just doesn't do anything with that information other than like telling Naruto about it, right? Like. Mm-hmm. There's like such a clear opportunity to like like secure the advantage that they've gained, that he just kind of lets pass by like standing there and like commentating on like Naruto fighting this guy. Like there's other sense like, oh, like this fight operates in this sense of like, okay, like once Naruto's fighting this guy, they're like basically in this realm where like nobody else could really enter, so they just kind of have to finish that. Raiga is like really making like a poor showing as far as like he seems kind of like maybe the most suck ass of the 7 ninja swordsmen, because like after like a minute of inefficiently destroying shadow clones, he's like, ah, shit, if this keeps up, I'm gonna like run out of chakra. Like just poorly qualified for the task at hand here.
Mm-hmm. So the Naruto evaporates him.
yeah. This guy that like fucking makes her like just start laughing every time she sees it. We're like, that we have the setup of like, Raiga's trying to finish it with a big attack, but Naruto's like, dodging it, like setting for a Senkan. And it like collides with Raiga. And he just goes like spinning off weirdly until he just like disappears from the frame. And then like a few seconds later, there's like a loud crashing noise. Yeah, it's just like if they made like a dust cloud at the bottom of the ravine he gets thrown into or something, like it would have made a difference. But it just kind of looks like he stops existing.
Like, and because he just blinks out, it really makes it feel like he didn't get thrown that far, right?
Yeah, right. Because also like
he just gets sent spinning and shrinking until he's nothing.
Yeah. And like the animation where he's like spinning off and shrinking is like, it feels like kind of like loose and fluid in a way that a lot of the stuff in this episode isn't, but like it's just kind of like weirdly composited in and like feels like so disconnected from like what's happening. It just really feels like he's just gone. He just went away.
Fucking Raiga gets sublimated.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's resolved for now. They go over to like talk to Ranmaru. And Ranmaru starts like recounting the past, where like, as we mentioned before, Raiga was like on some mission to like go and kill a spy, got confused and just started killing people randomly. And so he like wanders up into this like building where like Ranmaru is like a sickly child is, and is like, yeah, I'm gonna kill you next or whatever. And Ranmaru's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Like I've been like watching you with my special eyes from a distance, and you always get like sad when you kill people or whatever, and it seems like you're looking for the meaning of life. So like maybe if you kill me and you get closer to that, that'll be okay.
Right, and then Raiga immediately decides that she is going to be this kid's like sicko girl dad.
Right, and it's like, I mean, they just like like. Discuss like, oh yeah, they've been like they're like wandering around together and like looking for the meaning of life, and like maybe the closest thing they have is the fact that they're able to like travel around together, and like just all of this stuff that is like, okay, sure, like, this is pretty like broadly painted. This feels like pretty thin as far as characterization goes. This doesn't feel like super grounded in like anything about this world, and also it's like like hard to be that sympathetic to with like the specific sense of like, oh yeah, our like search for like the meaning of life together has brought us to a point where we are like terrorizing a bunch of mine workers. Right, like the fact that we go from this like immediately into like Naruto like remembering all of the stuff with Zabuza and Haku just feels like fucking galling, right? The show's like, hey, you like this, right? Like you think this is good? We're doing it again, so you should get invested again. And it's like, no, you're not. Like
not even close. Like
fucking like Zabuza is like positioned in the world a specific way where like when he left the mist, he like was trying to do a coup, and like we can like make some inferences about how like that might be worth doing because he comes from the fucking village where like murder is part of your elementary school graduation or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
and like, he's like, compromise his ideals or whatever to like work for some bad people to like try and get money together so he can like, raise forces to try and like go and like help his home again or whatever, right? Like, and like Haku gets like a whole bunch of stuff like specifically positioning like where he's at in his life and everything, right? And Raika just like finds like a weird kid, and then they like wander around, and then they decide to like be like super evil to like a bunch of people for like no clear reason.
Yeah.
It's like a mess.
It's a mess. It's a mess, and like you just can't get invested, right? Like, not to say I won't be happy when fucking Ranmaru goes to make curry with her new big sister, right? But like, because like obviously,
but like you're putting a lot of the work in there,
right?
Because you're she-hurring them,
right?
It just doesn't mean anything, and it feels like they kind of know it, so they're trying to be like, okay, remember this thing you liked? This is that also, and like hoping that nobody watching figures it out.
Right. And like how like just like plainly obvious that like that is where this is heading right now.
Yeah, right. Like that was already what they were doing like from beforehand. So it's just like, in case you hadn't figured it out yet, right? In case you hadn't figured out to like this because it was like the thing you already liked. Let's just really put a fine point on that. It's just,
oh my god,
it's just nothing. It's just nothing.
It's just not much. I miss Haku.
Yeah. This is really No's opposite of Haku, and they're really doing themselves no favors.
Like forcing the comparison.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, this guy didn't even have to be one of the 7 ninja swordsmen or whatever, right? Like, they could have at least, like, tried to, like...
make him his own fucking guy.
Like, a little bit.
Though, I will give somebody credit here. The swords he has are like one of the only good swords.
Yeah, like, this does, like, carry over into, like, when like, all the 7 ninja swordsmen, like, show up, like... in the Great Ninja War stuff or whatever, like she's pretty sure, like, or like in like various flashbacks, like she's pretty sure Raiga is there, right? Like she's pretty sure like Raiga like carries over into the manga eventually, in like some small capacity, or at the very least his swords do.
I was looking on the wiki when I was like researching for these episodes, because so sometimes you forget somebody's name and you have to go look it up. And specifically about the swords, because I was curious if like this was like I was researching the swords, right? I was looking at the swords. Can you blame me? No. And yeah, the swords show up. Raiga does not.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think after the events of this little arc, like not getting into it, right? But like they wind up in the hands of somebody else.
Okay.
Which, I didn't expect this guy to survive.
No, this guy's dead as hell.
Okay,
The last thing Sprout's talking about is they've blasted Raiga off into nothing. And they're like, okay, we just need to like go beat up the rest of his goons. Because like who knows what they'll do if they find out what their boss is defeated. So we're just gonna like leave Ranmaru in this warehouse for whatever, for a little bit, whatever. And she wants to talk about like, so. She feels like there's been like a marked decrease in the quality of her subs as we like get into this this anime original stretch.
Really?
Yeah, like this came up like earlier, like in our first episode this week, like when like Guy is like going and like talk about the mission he just completed and like the mission that like his kids are gonna be starting. Like there's like a bunch of like tone weirdness where like the stuff like we're like the descriptions of like the 2 missions like are like blended together in this way that like she had to like go and like listen to the dub to like clear up some confusion here. And like there's another moment here where like when they're like when they're like locking up Ranmaru in like the little shed and like tying her up and everything, right? Like there's a bit where like we're like they're having this conversation where like Rarik is like, does Ranmaru really deserve to be like tied up like this? And then she's like, no. And then like the intent here is that like Tenten is like, yeah, but like like he might like he might hurt himself, right? But like her subs definitely like the subs she was watching like definitely made it seem like she was like also asking a question like what if Ranmaru tries to kill himself, and then she just doesn't answer and like moves on. which like really fucking threw her for a loop, and she had to like check it up. I was like, okay, no, that's not the intent of the scene. That's not the intent of the scene at all. But
that was her explaining why they had to tie her up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not her being like, is it really okay to leave him here? Like, what if?
They're just like not worrying about that. We have to go beat up some goons.
Honestly, that interaction is way stronger. Right? Yeah. Like, I don't know for like I don't know about like for this or these characters, right? But like, honestly, that's some fucking Kakashi shit.
That is some Kakashi shit. Oh god. Something you forgot to mention, like with regards to the flashback, is like there's this like really weird effect over the whole thing where like it's like color in the center of the screen just like goes like grayscale out in the edges of it, and it looks like shit the whole time.
Yeah.
Why'd they do that?
I don't know.
Because it's not like a stylistically consistent thing with the show, right?
Yeah, like usually Naruto does like the grayed out with the like with the like halftone overlay, right? With the dots.
Yeah. We just do this thing that like looks a lot worse, right? And like it's like the normal style of flashback for when it's like reminding us about the Zabuza and Haku stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to talk about the new ending?
Yeah, I mean, she could. Like, there's actually not a lot to say about this one, right? Like, it's just here's a handful of illustrations. They're like nice illustrations. They're cute, right? Like, there's like a gay-looking one of Ino and Sakura.
Yeah.
You know, Shino is like excluded from any of the like boys hanging out group shots, so he's just chilling with Hinata over there. Which she thinks is kind of sweet. She thinks they should. She likes when they were like being friends in like the previous arc for all of her the complaints she wound up having about it ultimately.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's just like here's like 4 or 5 different illustrations of like various groups of characters. They're hanging out, and that's about what it is. It's another like Tsuru and like Suzuki one, though definitely like it's not like one of the more like elaborate ones, right? It's just like here's the here's the images. They're like well made on their own, but they're she doesn't feel like there's a lot to like talk about in terms of like the sequence or like in like particular ambitions it has. It's just like here's some nice illustrations and then we're done.
All right. Well, hey, is there like anything else is there anything else she wants to talk about?
No, I think we've covered it all.
All right. Well, hey, what are we watching next week?
Okay, next week we are wrapping up this arc with episodes 155, 156, and 157 of Naruto.
Nice. And hey, if you can't wait, you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Konoha Crush, all one word, Konoha Crush. There you get episodes up to a week early for just $3 a month, and for $5 you get access to our bonus show, Narakai Uzumaki, where we talk about like isekai and isekai adjacent stuff. This month we just covered Grimgar. We talked about that, and that episode should be up, if not already, then very, very soon. While we're still on the Patreon, I want to offer thanks to our joining tier patrons, Izzy, Maple, the only ninja with a gun, and friend of the show, Rife. Check out their streams at twitch.tv/subspaceskater. All one word, subspace skater. Any images we talk about during the show can be found in our Twitter, twitter.com/Konoha Crush. All one word, Konoha Crush. We have a Tumblr now too, KonohaCrushcast.tumblr.com. We both stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Guinevere is mine, and I'm playing Zella. I'm playing a lot of Zella, though maybe not when this episode comes out.
Right, like when this episode comes out, she thinks it's gonna be like it's like Monday on the Patreon, or like the Sunday, like the Monday before you're out here on the Patreon, or like the Sunday, like the first Sunday you're out here on the main feed.
Yeah.
So like probably not a lot of streams happen like immediately. Then we'll be busy, but
oh yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but check us out anyway. We have VODs.
Yeah, and she streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/VerdictVelvet. She's playing through all of the Fire Emblem games in order, just like one stream of that a week. It's going to be a long-term project. She's working through like Chrono Trigger, like ostensibly. It's been a little while since she has streamed that, but she wants to get back on there. And that's basically about what she has to say about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for listening, and remember, there's no such thing as filler.